Welcome. This is Kimberly Lindsay with the Kentucky Society of CPAs Behind the Numbers. We have with us again Rene Valadez and Kim Burse, and they are a part of the KyCPA's Diversity and Inclusion Committee. And in this session of the Kentucky Society CPAs Behind the Numbers, we will be speaking about the AICPA's efforts towards diversity and inclusion. And so why don't we just start off with Kim and get some basics regarding those efforts.
Well, really, the AICPA has a National Commission on Diversity and Inclusion, and they've spent much of their time developing strategies and resources to improve diversity and inclusion in the accounting profession. They've developed tools like a comprehensive assessment document that will work with firms, or accounting firms will work with it rather, and they will be able to evaluate where their current diversity and inclusion practices stand. And they also have other things that they call a practice toolkit for diversity and inclusion, and that will provide firms and the CPAs insight on how they can attract more diverse candidates, how they can develop a workforce with strategies that have a fresh new look to them. And also they're trying to reinforce their basic commitment for working toward positive change in the diversity and inclusion arena.
Rene, what's your take on the AICPA's involvement with diversity and inclusion?
I believe the AICPA has made significant efforts to educate, to develop resources, tools. I know they have worked closely with the larger firms in these efforts. If you visit their website, they have a section devoted for diversity and inclusion where they often post articles and various resources that can be used. In regards to this assessment that Kim mentions, I would encourage firms to go ahead and complete it. It kind of gives you a score as to where you are in regards to your diversity and inclusion efforts. And it's a good start, even if it's something new to the firm. I believe it's a good start to figure out where you are. You need to know where you are before you can move forward. We, as a profession at the national level, I think we are doing the right things, and we just need to take advantage of those resources from the AICPA.
And on the Kentucky Society of CPA's website, kycpa.org/DI, there are links to the AICPA's website where they have the information for diversity and inclusion. And they have it separated into information for firms, professionals, for the students, and for educators. Would you like to add anything?
Well, what I would add is that Rene has mentioned that the entities that are leading the charge right now are the larger national firms. But what we need to move the needle on diversity and inclusion is we need mid-sized firms. We need small firms. We need individuals to chime in and do what they can to make this better. We've already stated for everyone, the body of research, that diversity and inclusion matters, that it does impact positively business results, recruitment results. We know it's the right thing to do. The question for all of us is, will we do what we personally can do to influence and move the needle so that we can make progress? That means that someone has to do the legwork. You have to go to the AICPA website. You have to go and include anything that you can find at the Kentucky Society of CPAs and start working toward change. It will mean a lot for the growth of your business, for your accounting firms, for the individuals. It will mean moving in the right direction. But we're simply asking everyone to become educated and informed on what they can individually do to improve their own results, knowing that the end will come so that everyone will improve. The boats will all rise. It won't be just one or small group of entities that will rise, but everyone will. But we have to all be moving in the same direction to focus on diversity and inclusion so that we can actually create the change in the community we'd like to have. So that's our appeal. That's what the AICPA is asking us to commit to do, is to work in the same direction so that we can have improvement at the national level, the state level, our individual firm levels, and at the individual CPA level. We all want to go forward. We do not want to be held in the past thinking that that's the greatest place to be. It is not. And our millennial and Z generations tell us that it's not. They're wanting to go forward and they want us to take them there, or else they will take us there. That's the way I look at it. They want us to go with them toward the future, and that means change.
Renee, can you tell us some of your personal experience being someone that came to the United States as a almost young adult, and how you became interested in the accounting profession? What drew you in, and what challenges did you have?
So I kind of stumbled upon the profession itself. I guess the role model that I had was my mother as a bookkeeper for a while, but I never really had a dream or I never thought that I would become a CPA. It's just one of those things. I started going to college and accounting was one of my courses. It was, I don't want to say easy, but I understood the concepts. So I just kind of followed along. At the time, I didn't realize some of the difficulties that most minorities or underrepresented groups face, which is not having that support system. Now, at my current employer, I realized that a lot of the staff that we hired, it was understood or it was expected that you were going to go to college, that you were going to finish, that you were going to get an education, and you had a lot of people that you could rely on or it could help you throughout the process. And now I realized that I didn't have that. It was just me on my own trying to figure out what I needed to do. And I made some mistakes along the way. To me, it's key for us minorities to make sure that we're visible, make sure that others like me, other immigrants like me, realize that you can make it, that if you put forward your best effort, you will achieve your goals, and make sure that there is a place for us out there. One of the things that I noticed when I first started looking for a job is that no one in the profession really looked like me, or I didn't really have common ground with a lot of the people in the profession because our backgrounds were so different. So that probably could have made things a little bit easier. And that's what motivates me to be involved with the society is I want to make sure that if there's someone else that is going through what I had to go through, that at least they know that you can make it. And if there's anything that I can do for them, I'll be more than happy to lend a hand.
And Kimberly, I will add to what Rene said. Back in the 70s, when I went to the University of Kentucky, there were no other. There were maybe one or two others that were pursuing an accounting degree. I had no mentors. I had to figure it out just like Rene had to figure it out. I didn't know any CPAs. I hadn't seen any minority CPAs. This many years later, when I talk to a young lady who graduates from a university in Kentucky and she tells me the same story, it does not make me feel as though we've made a great deal of progress. I know we've made some, but we have not moved the needle. And that's what we really are charged to do, is to make sure that we don't have this same story repeated decade after decade after decade. The population is changing. The young people coming in are changing, and they're expecting that there would be opportunity, support mechanisms, mentors, and the whole gamut of things to help people be successful in our profession. We want our profession to be as successful as any other profession. If they're making more strides than we are, we're going to be left behind. We don't want to be behind. So it collectively calls for all of us, from micro-level firms and individual proprietors to small, medium, and mid-sized and large accounting firms, to move this needle and to make sure that we have as much support wrapped around people pursuing the accounting and CPA profession as possible. Our pipelines are what we're really worried about. We must move in a direction that allows us to have ample pipelines and differences in thought and how we proceed in solving problems. Let me just give you one example. Someone drew an analogy for me that was really helpful. They said that when airbags were first created, that the team that created them were all men. Or were they designed in a way that would help men not get hurt, but were they designing so that everybody else in the car doesn't get hurt, like the babies and the women? They didn't have those perspectives at the table when they were designing. So not having in the room differences of thought, opinion, and experiences hampers the end product. If you are going to proceed, you must bring more differences of thought, experiences, and perspectives into the problem solving. That's what diversity and inclusion really means, differences of experience that can help, not just to be doing it. We've already had the research that says it's good for business, but people need to understand that it's good for the whole in how we do our work. Solving business problems is what we're about. But we have to have more diversity and inclusion to do the best job possible. And we're hoping to go down that path that we do get more diversity and inclusion.
Thank you, Kim and Renee, for joining us on Behind the Numbers and discussing this important topic. You may find out more information at kycpa.org/DI, where there are links to the AICPA and other important information regarding diversity and inclusion efforts.